the Israelites left Egypt. There's all these things, and they all have tremendous meaning. Now, here's the thing. I know that we want to celebrate. And I get it. It comes quite naturally to us. It's as if we were made to celebrate. Not all the time, but sometimes. And the reason is because we were made to celebrate. But unfortunately, our capacity to celebrate, truly celebrate, I don't mean the worldly kind, but truly celebrate has been diminished or neglected or, for many people, dismissed altogether. And they have a hard time even smiling or laughing. Why do so many of us have such a hard time celebrating? Well, I'm going to share 3 things that rob us from true celebration. Number 1 is unrelenting labor, nonstop. This is the person that is overly achievement-oriented. They always got to be accomplished. Don't look at anybody right now. They always got to be accomplishing something. You got to have a checklist, got to check off all the things on the checklist, and then it's like, okay, I'm doing something with my life, and that's maybe good, but it could be too much, right? In the USA Today article from less than a year ago, it said this: compared with the rest of the world, Americans are almost twice as likely to go a year or more without taking a vacation. That is weird, you guys. They might not call it vacation. Maybe they call it holiday or time away or time off. But people around the world take time off in most places, okay? It's fascinating. Did you know that more than half of Americans don't use all their paid time off? More than half. Why? Well, I got to impress the supervisor, the boss, what are they going to do without me? There's things to do, things to accomplish. Here's another quote. Historians say that an average American works a little over 1,800 hours per year, while the average workload of an adult male peasant in 13th century England was approximately 1,620 hours per year. Isn't that fascinating? The total rest time in medieval England took up probably about 1/3 of the year. Did you know in the 14th century, it was more like, I did a little research, historians say it's more like 1,400 hours that they would work. In the 19th century, in the United States, do you know how many hours Americans worked? Well over 3,000. We were just, so it's ingrained in us. We've got to achieve. There's no country, to my understanding, there's some that are close, but there's no country that works more hours than the United States does today. And I'm just telling you that this unrelenting labor can create this weird thing where we think we're excelling and doing it right, and we're all for good work and hard work. But friends, there's a time to celebrate. Secondly, I would just share this, is unrestrained liberty. This is the person that, I'm just going to live my life however I want. I'm going to sow my oats. And what I'm saying is that the person who lives a rebellious life from God, though they may party, they aren't ever going to experience true celebration. In fact, a lot of times their partying is just to numb themselves or to forget their lives. It's not to remember something meaningful. It's not to build friendship and community. I heard this quote some time ago, and it kind of stuck with me. And they said this: whatever God creates, Satan corrupts. Whatever God creates, and all he creates is good, Satan corrupts. He twists. He distorts. Are you guys with me? Whatever God creates, Satan corrupts. Will you say that with me? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Whatever God creates, Satan corrupts. And it's true. God says there's no true life apart from me. Satan says, yes, there is. You don't need God, God says, I define the truth. Satan says, no, you define the truth. It's your truth. God says, tend the soil, take care of the earth. Satan says, worship the earth. God says, have dominion over the animals. You know what Satan says? You are an animal. Just a developed one. God says love is patient and kind. Love doesn't envy. It is self-sacrificing. It does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. You know what Satan says? Satan says love is when somebody makes you feel good. Literally, that's the definition of love in our culture today. See, over and over and over again, whatever God creates, Satan corrupts. Whatever God designs, Satan distorts. Whatever God produces, Satan perverts. And this is this life of rebellion, apart from God, will keep you from experiencing true joy and being able to experience true celebration. The third thing, and the last thing, I'll just say that robs us from experiencing true celebration is religious legalism. This is the person, again, they're doing all the right things, but they think that doing all the right things will get God to acknowledge them and will impress God. And don't you see what I've accomplished? And I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do. And usually it comes with, and you're not, kind of thing. But I'm so good and I'm so wonderful. It's self-righteousness. Those of you who are familiar with the Bible, when you read about the Pharisees, do you imagine them being great at celebrating? I don't. And the truth is because they're filled with religious legalism. And you'll find that people that have that in them have a hard time celebrating. They take themselves way too seriously. I'm not saying you're not important, you're not valuable, God doesn't have a calling on your life. All those things are true. But in comparison to God, let's chill a little bit. Let's relax. You're not a big deal, okay, in that sense. I mean, literally my job as a pastor, in part, is to help us get over ourselves so we can get to God. We need God, but the religious, legalistic person says, well, God, of course, is lucky to have me on his team. And I'm doing all these things right. It leads to despair. It comes from pride. It's destructive. It's defeating. It's disappointing because you're never good enough. Now, the truth is that we're robbed of opportunities to celebrate over and over and over again. But we all want to celebrate. But then we realize this, you know what? To really celebrate, you got to prepare for it, do you not? You got to plan. You got to go to the grocery store. You got to get things set. You got to clean the house or the venue or whatever. You've got to make an investment. You've got to make an exchange. And see, all of us would say, well, yeah, as Christians, we should celebrate, the good things that God has done and who he is. We should do that. But the problem is this, it's not a priority. It's too far down the list. So then when it comes the time to I've got to plan, I've got to prepare, I've got to do the work so that I can celebrate, it's just not worth it. I'm too busy. I got too much going on. Friends, celebration is just not important enough to many of us. I'll speak for myself. It's not important enough to me. I'm the person who after some accomplishment or I finish a project or whatever, a lot of times I'm just like, ooh, man, that feels great. That's awesome for 8 minutes. And then I'm on to the next thing. And actually, I regret that about my life. I wish I could just sit and enjoy and say thank you, But a lot of times, it's on to the next thing, right? Okay, so it is not God's plan that we live a celebration light life, okay? God is more joyful than any being that exists. I would say this, think of it this way, to help us elevate the priority of celebration, it's ungodly to not celebrate. And we actually see this in the scriptures.